hello students. Welcome to section on proofs, BOPS proofs. So first thing you may ask yourself, what is BOPS? BOPS stands for betweenness of points. It's just abbreviation. We already talked about this in class when we did some algebra questions, but now officially we can define BOPS. So let's look at the words. If n is between points P and Q, okay? So you have point P, you have point Q, and n is in between. So that means it's somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but somewhere in between, okay? So if I connect the 2 points, and let's assume that n is over here, okay? So what do I know? I know that Pm plus NQ is equal to PQ. Okay, and we know this already from previous chapter. In some textbooks, this is called segment addition postulate. So if you are sometimes researching some problems or looking at some answers online, they will call this segment addition postulate. So now let's take a moment and look at one proof. So proof number 1, given n is the midpoint of segment AB. Again, repeat this to yourself. N is the midpoint of segment AB. Pause for a second and think what it means. Okay, this means that n is exactly in the middle, and this also means that segment AN is congruent to segment MB. Okay, your job is to show that segment AB is twice segment AM. So let's go to our standard 2-column proof. You always put statement on the left, and on your right side you put the reasons. You always put, number 1 is always what's given. Later in the course, I will give you sometimes 2 given or 3. So right now, what is given? N is the midpoint. Okay, and the reason is midpoint of AM. And the reason is given. Now, if n is the midpoint, automatically mark this picture. So what do you think is the next step? If I tell you that n is the midpoint, what do you think is step number 2? Step number 2 is AM is equal, or you can say congruent to segment NB. Okay, and what is the reason for this? If you look at the cheat sheet I gave you, okay, you can say definition of midpoint, or you could say midpoint, arrow, 2 congruent segments. Okay, that's the abbreviation. So this means if n is the midpoint, or if you have a midpoint, then you have 2 congruent segments. Okay, what do you do next? This is the tricky part, okay? Because your goal is to somehow show that AB, which is the entire segment, is equal to segment 2 times AM. Now, if you do not know what to do, write some equations, okay? Just like in science class, in physics. So step number 3, I am going to use BOPS. So what is BOPS? AM plus NB is equal to AB. And what is the reason for this? That's BOPS, betweenness of points, so BOPS. Okay? Now, please look at step number 2, and please look at step number 3. What can you do? Can you somehow substitute something? Okay? Your goal is to have AB is equal to 2 times AM. Okay? Now, 2 times AM is same thing as AM plus AM. Think about this. Think about algebra. Isn't 2x same thing as x plus x? Again, think about this. 2 AM, 2 times segment AM is same thing as AM plus AM. So let me change the colors for you, okay? I can cross out this NB, okay? And what can I replace NB with? In step number 2, what's NB? What is NB equal to? AM. So step number 3, I will say AM, bring it down, plus, instead of NB, I'm going to write AM again, and it's equal to AB. Okay? And what is the reason for this? It's called substitution. Okay? Now think about algebra class. Okay, this is a little bit different for you students because you are not adding variables, you're adding segments. Isn't x plus x technically 2x? So what is AM plus AM? 2AM is equal to AB. Okay? And what is the reason for this? You can say simplify or adding like terms. Again, and my proof is done. Now, if you want to be more technical, you can also say AB is equal to 2 times AM, and you could say this is a symmetric property. You guys remember symmetric property? If A is equal to B and B is equal to A, I'm sorry, if A is equal to B, then B is equal to A. So you could do that, but that's fine with me. Okay? Okay, somehow I messed up steps. I repeat 3 twice, so that should be 4, and that should be 5. Okay? So that's proof number 1. Okay, proof number 2. B is the midpoint of AC. Okay? B is the midpoint of AC. So if you look at this picture, we already marked this for you. If B is the midpoint of AC, okay, then we'll say that AB is congruent to BC. What else do we know? C is the midpoint of BD. So C is the midpoint of BD, okay? Which technically means that segment BC is congruent to CD. Your job is to show that AB is congruent to CD. Okay, so let's start with our standard 2-column proof. Statements, reasons. Okay, number 1 is what's given. B is the midpoint of AC. And you could do step number 2, but I'm going to put both given under one step. C, midpoint of BD. Now, the good thing is the picture is marked for you, but sometimes we will not do it, so you have to do this on your own. And the reason is given. Okay? What is your goal? Your goal is to show that this segment is equal to this segment. Okay? How do you do that? Okay. If B is the midpoint of segment AC, please say that AB, which is here, is equal to BC. Please say AB is congruent to BC or equal, okay? And we also know that this segment here, BC, is equal to CD. BC is equal to CD. Now, what is the reason for step 2? It's definition of midpoint. Again, if you have a midpoint, then it will divide the segment into 2 congruent parts. This will be definition of midpoint. Or you could also say midpoint, arrow, 2 congruent segments. Okay? Now, look at the goal. Again, when we work with proofs, sometimes you will be confused and it's like, where am I going? So look at the goal. Your goal is to show that segment AB is equal to CD. Okay? Do me a favor. Look at the two equations. AB is equal to BC. BC is equal to CD. Because remember, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then C is equal to, then A is equal to C. That's it. Step number 3 is AB is equal to CD. Okay, and what is the reason? You could say transitive property, or you could say substitution. Okay? All right, and proof number 3. Okay? Proof number 3. AD is equal to BE. So AD is equal to BE or EB. Okay? Show AE, so show that this segment is equal to this segment. All right. So what do? Your job is to show that AE is equal to DB. Think about segment AE. Okay, isn't AE technically AD plus DE? But let's do this officially. Number 1, AD is equal to DE. Okay, what's the reason? Given. Number 2. We don't have anything else that we know, but we can use BOPS and create 2 new equations. Okay? We know that AD plus DE is equal to AE. And we also know that DE plus EB is equal to DB. And the reason for that step would be BOPS, between of points. Okay? Now look at the goal. Look at the goal. Your goal is to show that AE, which is this segment, is equal to BD. DB and BD is same thing, okay? So you want to show that whatever is in red is equal to each other. So if I want to show that the right sides are equal, I also have to somehow show that the left sides are equal. So how do I show that the left sides are equal? Okay, look at the left side. AD plus DE. Okay, so this DE and this DE, they're the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to cross out AD, and what can I replace AD with? Okay, think what's given. What can I replace AD with? Segment AD can be replaced with BE. Okay, over here. So I can cross this out, and step number 3 will follow from here. So instead of AD, I can write BE plus DE is equal to AE. And now do me a favor. Please compare the 2 lines, 2 equations. The left sides are the same. DE plus EB, BE plus D, the same thing. Okay? So step number 4 will be BDB is congruent or equal to AE. And what is the reason? You can say substitution or transitive. By the way, I skipped step for number 3. That's substitution. And step number 4 will be transitive. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video now. We will not do number 4. I will do this in class. Thank you.